Worship leader, if you have ever been stuck in the cycle, the endless trap of just week to week, last minute planning for your team and your sets, this video today is going to help you. I'm going to show you one simple hack, a system that you could set up completely free if you already use Planning Center. And even if you're not using Planning Center, I encourage you to check it out. You can kind of try it out on a free trial. This video is not sponsored by Planning Center or anything, but man, I just want to show you a simple hack to incorporate a system that'll get you out of that pitfall and trap of last minute worship planning. So let's go behind the scenes here. As you can see on the screen, if you use Planning Center, this will be familiar to you. And I've just got a very simple, this is again like a free account I've set up for test purposes for this channel, but just got a one plan here. I encourage you right here. You can see there's kind of like nothing here, right? Just a pro tip here, just in general. Oftentimes I see this, I know in myself and I see it with other worship leaders, we're not really fully utilizing like all the features that Planning Center offers that just make your life honestly easier and communication and clarity easy in the long haul. So if you see this here, right, obviously there's no real run sheet in here right now. This is just a test kind of a demo plan here, but just encourage you things like this. And this is, not the main point of this video, but just things like, man, just using these features like add a plan title, right? Like Sunday, January 18th. And if you're in like a series or something or a scripture, like put the scripture. Let's just say we're in Mark 1 for some reason, like, right? Let's just put that in there, right? And it'll just help with clarity and things. But the system I want to show you is actually using, if you're familiar with Planning Center, we're very often, commonly just work in services, but they actually have a whole kind of suite of tools, right? That is just super helpful. Some of these things are paywall things, but a feature that is super useful is if you go to this home, it'll take you to this task tab, and you can kind of use this if you're not using any kind of system like a Trello or task management or Apple, reminders or anything like that. You could actually use this right in Planning Center here, and I love this. Or you could even separate it out to where like maybe these are just worship tasks. You can add things just individually here, but the thing I want to show you today is you can set up automations. And there's a kind of a helpful article that Planning Center links to here. I'll link this in the description below after the stream is done here. But I just want to show you this kind of simple system you could set up even for yourself. So let's go back to services here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Teams, and I'm going to go into the band team here. Again, this might look different depending on how you've got your Planning Center up. And by the way, if it would be helpful to do content where it's like, hey, what's maybe the best ways or some best practices to set up Planning Center? Let me know in the comments. Love to do more content like that if that's helpful. But what I'm going to do here is you can see we've got the position set up, acoustic, kind of common worship team positions, modern worship team positions. I'm actually going to add one here if you don't have this already called worship leader. So let's add worship leader. And I'm going to add myself. And again, this account is very bare. Like I was mentioning, this is just kind of a demo account I've got set up. And again, it is free. I think it's up to like 5 team members, it's free. So if you wanted to if you're not using Planning Center, you wanted to get your feet wet a little bit, I encourage you to sign up and just check it out. But here, so I've got myself set up in there. And now let me go over to, you see this tab here, automations. That's where we're going to be living here. So I'm going to set up an automation. Now it'll kind of walk you through the process, but we're going to do this real time here. So I'm going to create automation. And there's all kinds of different things, but I'm going to go, the thing I'm going to set up for you to show you like, man, how can you get out of the rut, right? Of weekly, just week to week set planning and planning your team and all that is you could start with yourself, right? As the worship leader. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say when somebody accepts a request to serve, and then I'm going to go that position we added, worship leader, right? Then now you get these kind of list of actions, and maybe it's going to be a little bit confusing, but you can kind of play around with it. It's pretty self-explanatory if you think about this. So we're saying, hey, when I essentially for myself, when I set up accept this request to serve as a worship leader, I want to perform an action in people, right? In home, where it says add a task. And you can kind of see, if you don't see that menu, maybe you're in one of the other ones, you won't see that here, right? There's all kinds of things you can do. But in home, and then you're going to say add a task. And then the beauty of this is you can say task name. So this is where you could say like, okay, when I accept, I'm going to put essentially a reminder in for myself to say, okay, schedule team. And then you could say create automation. Now you can do a bunch of these things, right? So you can go, okay, that's gonna do that. Now I can create another one, and I can say, okay, same thing. When so-and-so accepts a request to serve, I'm gonna go home, and now create another task. Let's say it's like talk to pastor about theme or speaking. You can say speaking pastor. If you have multiple people that preach or etc., you can say about theme for the service. You can cater this to whatever works for your context and your workflow, right? So you can say, okay, create automation. And then boom, now we got 2 added. And I'll show you what this does in just a second. Let's just add one more just for kind of kicks here. And, probably a pretty common thing that you need to do to get your team set up for success is then, you can say input songs. And you could separate these tasks out for the sake of time and not, belaboring this video here. I'm going to say input songs and confirm keys. Let's just say I'm going to kind of combine 2 tasks as one. And I'm going to say, same thing here. When a person accepts a request, worship leader, home, add a task, boom. You can even set a due date, which this is what I would highly recommend as well, as you can set up due dates to where you go. You can kind of set up a whole system holistically is what you want to do, right? To go like, man, maybe 3 weeks out, you're scheduling the team at least, right? 3 weeks out. Encourage you to go even more than that, right? A month out, you're scheduling the team. Then maybe 3 weeks out, you're actually talking to your pastor. And then, man, no less than like, I would say 2 weeks out, you're going, okay, now I'm inputting songs based on, I've prayed through the theme. I've prayed through maybe some scriptures that the pastor is going to speak on. And now we're scheduling the songs. We're picking the keys and everything. Try to do that 2 weeks out at least, right? If you can push further out, man, think about this. You're just giving your team more time to prepare. You're giving yourself as a worship leader more time to kind of ruminate with the songs and really get them from a place where you're leading from your heart, right? And not just the motions and mechanics of the song. So I encourage you, you can play around with setting a due date, right? And you can go, okay, I'm going to set a due date out to like once that responds, maybe you want to stagger these things, right? And so if I go, let me just accept this here. But what I mean by stagger is I'll show you this on the screen. Let's say you want to go, okay, this task is going to be due maybe 2 days after you accept, or 1 day after you accept. This task is going to be due, like let's say 7 days, a week or whatever after you accept. This task can be due, whatever. You can go 14 days or whatever. You can kind of create your own system of how far out you want to go with those things. But what I want to do now is show you how this works. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to go back now and schedule myself. So let's go back into services. We got these automations set up. And what I'm going to do now is go and one thing I want to make sure that you have too is just go, let me real quick before I schedule myself. I'm going to go back into home really quick, go tasks here. And just want to make sure that this is enabled for notifications. I believe it is automatically. So we'll do this real time and we'll kind of find this out together here, but I'll show you this here. So you're going to go back into services now. And let's say now you schedule yourself, or how I've used this too is at my church is I'm actually using this to kind of create some systems for volunteer worship leaders as well. So it kind of creates some tasks and things for them, helps them to know, what's the system that's going through my head. So it's not all dependent on me as a worship leader, right? And I can actually help other people along in what the system and the flow is for like, hey, this is what it takes to kind of put a set together and have some timelines and building out to set the team up well, etc. So you could use this for even other people that you're raising up at your church as worship leaders as well. So let's do this. I'm going to go, okay, team, let's pretend we were scheduling. Again, this is bare bones as I mentioned, but let's go team here. I'm going to go add people and we're going to schedule Jeremy Ellis, myself here. I'm going to send this notification. Okay, it's going to send this request. And again, I don't want to get into all the details of this now. Man, there's so many things, like I said, you could do with Planning Center. You could use these templates. You can set up things to where it just makes your life easier. So like I said, if you would like to see more content like this, where it's like, yeah, how can you optimize Planning Center? Man, let me know in the comments. Would love to help you out in that. And so, hey, you can see here, scheduled. Okay, obviously this would normally be going to maybe somebody else, right? Or again, if you're doing this for your own system, like I mentioned, then you just accept. It's going to kind of all be real time here. Now, what'll happen is it'll now trigger this automation. So what I was hoping is you can set up. This might just be a little delayed here, but you can set up to where you're going to get those notifications in your email. So this is the email I have connected to that account. So yeah, let me. Hopefully this will come through here. If not, you can see it. The notifications come through here in the kind of internally in the app, and obviously if you're using the phone app, this will come through on the phone as well. But you can see here it triggered those automations, right? And again, Was hoping that, here we go. So a little delayed. I was hoping it would come through email here just to show you this. So yeah, you can set it up to where this is now gonna trigger into your email that you have set up. And you can see it says, "Hi, Jeremy, a task was added to your inbox." Right, and it triggered all three of those. It triggered all three of those tasks that we added in. And you could also see it. Sorry, I keep hovering over to this common automations page. I will link that in the description. But you can see it also internally in the app. It's just a visual reminder, right? Now you can go, okay, this is on my task list. I've got to get these things done. Right, and then now if you hop over to home again, you'll see it populated these in your tasks. So if I click over to tasks, boom, here it automatically set up these 3 tasks now, right? That I've set up through that automation. And so now you can go, okay, I got work to do, right? To get this set ready. And again, I know the example here, I put January 18th, which would be this Sunday in the case of when this video is being published. But I'm like, man, I hope that you get out of that trap, right? It really is a trap of week-to-week worship planning. And think about what you're doing to your team in that, right? Like you're not really giving them much time to prepare. And like I said earlier, you're not giving yourself much time to kind of ruminate with these songs and just really get them into your heart. And so now you got this checklist where you go, okay, cool, man, 2 or 3 weeks out, right? I can go, okay, I've got to schedule the team. Boom. Once you've done that, you can check that off. It always feels good. Worship leaders, always feels good to check things off. So you can check that off, and then you can go, okay, boom, next week. Like I said, if you set it up with the due dates, that'll even be another tier, right? Of just going, okay, I'm going to set myself some due dates. I'm going to, make sure I hit those due dates and then be able to, again, boom, talk to the speaking posture, check that off. Man, you input songs and confirm keys, boom, check that off. And man, it feels good. Team set up for success. And I promise you, if you do this over time, fellow worship leader, your team is going to eventually just, man, they're going to be so thankful for you, right? They're going to be thankful and just going like, hey, I'm thankful that you're spending time doing this weeks out, right? You're giving us time to prepare. Obviously, there's lots more that goes into that. I've talked some about that on this channel as well. It's just like, how do we set up our teams with accurate charts and just good systems and things, right? There's so much more that I don't want to go into this video. I just wanted to show you this kind of simple hack for your own personal task management and setting up a system, if you will. Because I know as worship leaders, man, sometimes we want to just focus on the creative side and want to just spend hours playing or whatever it may be, right? But and we've got to engage just creating those systems and kind of being detail orientated when it comes to serving our teams well in these things. So I hope this helped you. I hope it was clear. Man, if there's any comments you have on just future content, like I said, that you would like to see that's helpful, please let me know in the comments. And just before you go, I would love to get into your hands a free guide I created. I'm going to put this on the screen here. If you go to influentialworship.com, you'll be able to put your email in there, and it's completely free to you. It's a guide of 6 practices that will help you boost your confidence in worship leading. Man, even by this Sunday, if you implement even just one of the practices, spend a bunch of time putting that together, things that were helpful to me in my journey as a worship leader. Would love to get that into your hands, and I hope it blesses you. Friends, I'm praying for your ministry. Hope this is helpful, and we will see you in the next video. God bless.